as you can see by the title, this video is not going to be an easy video to film, so please be respectful in the comments. And okay, my heart's actually beating really quickly. But hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Cara, and in today's video I am going to be talking about something that I've been wanting to do for a while, but I haven't had the strength or the confidence to do it, and that is talking about losing my dad to cancer. Now, I have mentioned this on my channel before, but if you're new, then I guess this video will help you out. But I've never actually sat down and talked about it like to a camera, but I can already tell I'm gonna cry, so if you don't like emotions, this is probably not the video for you. So my dad passed away on the 30th of November 2015, and he passed away from lung cancer. And my dad was a smoker his entire life, and for years and years and years I would always tell him to stop smoking. I hate smoking, I always have, but obviously he didn't listen. But I remember when I found out, so for probably a month or two, more like 2 months, Dad was feeling like really just crappy. He went to the doctors and they thought that he had like high salt, then low salt, then which was a really bad case of like really bad high blood pressure, and then it was low blood pressure, then it was lack of iron, lack of so on and so forth. There were lots of tests and medication given, but nothing seemed to help. And then my stepmom decided to, you know, go back one more time because he still wasn't getting better, and they did a ultrasound and an MRI. And when these results came back, it was stage 4 lung cancer, which is advanced lung cancer, which is basically the worst it can get. From the point that it was, if it was caught maybe 6 months earlier, it wouldn't have been as advanced as it was and as like harsh as it was. But you know, that's just how life goes. And the day that I found out, I was actually on my way to a friend's 18th birthday. So at the point of Dad getting sick, I was in year 12. I was just about to start exams, so I was literally in the middle of studying and, you know, going over my last final tests and like practice exams and getting everything ready for exams. I was just so stressed, and it was my friend's 18th birthday, and at that point we lived about half an hour away. So I was in the car with my mum and my sister, and my dad rang me and he said, look, this is what they've found. I know this is hard, but you know, it's cancer. And like that night was probably the worst party I've ever been to, because I obviously didn't want to tell anyone yet because I had just found out myself, and I tried to be so happy and smiley and la la la, and on all the pictures, like I'm just like that smile when you know you're not happy. But so that's how I found out, and for maybe like 6 months or so, it didn't seem that bad. My dad had always had like a kind of, he was a big guy. Like he was skinny when he was younger, but you know, he liked his beer, he liked his food and stuff. Like he was a solid guy. But when he was starting chemo, I noticed that he wouldn't lose weight. And I know that some people, when they go through chemo, they lose weight because the drugs, like, you lose your appetite and stuff, but he was the same. So it was like, it didn't feel real to me. And then when he started doing chemo and radiation, probably in around, I say May or June of 2015 is when it started to hit me then. So like, you know, he started losing his hair. He lost his hair quite quickly, but he always had hair that grew back really fast. I think it's quite a male thing, I think, for the hair to go really quickly, but he would lose his hair, and then like 3 days later it would already be growing back already. So it was, you know, we would always joke about how he had like a bald head because he'd always have the biggest thick like locks of hair. And I think seeing a visual representation of what is going on is like the hardest thing. And the last Christmas we spent together, which was in 2014, so the December 2014, he didn't have any hair, and the last photo I actually took with him, you know, he's got no hair and he's just trying to smile, and it's like, fuck. My dad was basically like my best friend. My parents divorced when I was around 4.5, 5, so I don't have like the most memories of growing up with him. I remember when I was like 6 and stuff, but not when I was little. And I'm really grateful that when I was younger, my dad had a video camera and he recorded so much stuff, and I actually got them converted to like a DVD a few months ago, and it's so nice to see him when I was younger and in videos, and I can just hear him talking, and it just makes me laugh and smile so much. So like, he would be the one who I would always call if things were going wrong, because me and my sister, we lived with my mum. So on that Christmas, like, seeing him just not really care, because Dad would always love Christmas, that was kind of like his thing. And the bad thing with having separated families is you have to share. So one year we would be at my mum's for lunch and my dad's for tea, and my dad's family always did lunch, so I would always miss out. And this year I said to my mum, I'm not missing out, and I'm glad I didn't, because that would be the last Christmas I got to spend with him. But it started getting really scary around probably August, September of 2015. I had started uni that year, and he was so proud of me for doing something that he never got to do, because he never got to finish high school. He got up to year 11, and then he lived on a farm, so his dad made him go and work, and then he wanted to become a police officer, but he didn't pass the written exam. His like maths wasn't strong enough. He passed the physical and everything, but his maths wasn't up to like the standard, so he became a plasterer, but he never got to finish year 12, like finish high school, go to uni. So like, he was so proud of me. But in around August, September, for about 3 or so weeks, he seemed like he was so much better. He had stopped chemo because like he'd done the like course, and he seemed like he was so much better. He started gaining weight again because he got really skinny at one point, and it was like he was just a different person. And like, I didn't want to give him a cuddle in case like I hurt him, and like he looked so frail. And like, it looked like he was getting better. He was gaining weight again. He was getting like his weight and his face back. It was starting to grow a beard again, like facial hair, and his hair was growing back. And then anyway, because like they went to the doctors, and like the cancer wasn't growing, so it was like, well, we'll just see how it goes. And at that point, the doctor suggested doing radiation to like just spot the cancer in the lung, like while it wasn't growing. And I asked so many times to go with him just to support him, but he didn't want me to go, and now I understand why, because I don't think I could have like seen him going through that. But that was all fine. And then the doctor said that the cancer had spread to his other lung, so it was in his right lung originally, where that's where they found it. And after doing radiation and chemo, and they thought it stopped growing. They did another MRI, and he'd had spread to the left lung, and before that there was consideration of doing a lung transplant. But when they realized it was in the left and how close it was to his heart, it was probably like 5 centimeters, like really close to his heart. It was just deemed way too risky to even consider it. So he was given the choice to do more chemo or more radiation, like, or a combination of both, and he didn't want to. And like, I don't know if him doing another round could have made him be here longer or anything, but he always said to me like how painful it is, and like the day after doing chemo, like your body just aches and hurts and you can't get out of bed and you can't eat, and in a way I was mad at him for not pushing himself to do more, like, for us. But I know that he had to do what was best, like, for him, and that was not putting himself through that. And at that point I kind of had the realization that I don't think he's going to be here for much longer. Where I kind of like was mad at him for not wanting to push himself to do that, but I could see how hard it was on him. And probably about 2 or so weeks before he actually passed away, he got so sick again. He was so tired all the time. Whenever I would visit, like, he couldn't get out of bed, or he couldn't get out of the couch. Like, he was just in one spot, he couldn't really get up, and he had a walker and he had a electric like motor, like scooter, and at that point he couldn't even like lift his own weight to get up, and he was like very frail at that point. So like you could tell how like severe it was getting. And the last night I spent with him, Alex, my boyfriend, we went over for tea, and we were sitting at the kitchen table, and I was sitting next to him, and like he had his favourite meal, which was apricot chicken on scalloped potatoes, and he couldn't eat it. He had one spoonful, and it was just like, it tasted disgusting to him, and then he just went to bed. And that night we went down to the Christmas tree. Like, in my town they have a big sculpture Christmas tree, and Christmas time it lights up and plays music and stuff, and I took my little brother down with my stepmom and Alex and I, and Dad obviously didn't want to come, and I went and sat with him before we left, and the last thing I ever got to say to Dad was, sleep well, I love you, sleep well. And I think telling him to sleep well was like that I loved him. It was like, it's okay in a way. Like, it's okay, Dad, you can go to sleep now. But the day that he passed away, I was not feeling the best that day. I just came down with a cold, and Alex was over with me, and I was just asleep in bed, and I really felt like Subway. I don't know why. So Alex went down to get me Subway, and when he came back, my stepmom called me, and she said, look, you know, your dad's not well. He's in the hospital, and I think you need to come to see him. And at that point, I didn't think anything more of it, and, you know, obviously got in the car, didn't rush, because he just thought, you know, he wasn't too well. He's in the hospital. I've got hospital stuff there, like medical stuff. And where he actually was in palliative care. So palliative care is basically like, it's kind of like you're really, really sick, and it's sometimes they're like attached to aged care centres. And when I went up to the reception to say, hi, I'm here to see my dad, they were like, yeah, this is the room, I'll just get the nurse for you. And I thought that was really odd, but I didn't really think anything else of it. And we walked up to the door and they knocked on it, and my nana came out, and I was like, why is my nana out here? And that's when she told me. And like, in that moment, a bit of my heart was kind of gone, and it was just like, for a moment the world literally stopped moving. Like, we were frozen, and I could see my little brother playing in the room, like the waiting room next to where Dad was. And I couldn't even look at him, because like, when you're that young, you don't understand like death or anything like that. And like, it's the most surreal thing to see somebody look like they're sleeping, but they're not. And I'm obviously not going to go into that because that's just way too personal, but that day was just a normal day, and it turned into just horror, really. And like, the days after, I was around with my stepmom quite a lot, and like, my cousins were there, a lot of my family was there as well, and it was just the weirdest feeling, like being in, say, like his chair and not him being there, or not hearing him or anything. And the most hardest thing, I think, was probably the funeral. I made a speech, and before he passed away, my dad asked my nana if I could sing a song, and I couldn't do it. When I was younger, I used to do singing lessons, and like, we did concerts, and one of the songs I sung was My Heart Will Go On by Celine Dion. And I remember when I did that at a concert, he just bawled his eyes out, and I knew he always loved me like singing that song. But you don't know what it's like to stand up there and have all these people watching you, and then just in the back of your mind having this like, I can't, like, so I did a speech and it was all fine, but the burial, it's just something I never want anyone to have to experience. And visiting the cemetery now is a lot easier than it used to be. You know, I used to not even be able to drive past like the actual cemetery, but now I drive past and I smile when I wave. And whenever I go to the cemetery and visit, even if it's the cloudiest, darkest day, the sun will always come out, like, no matter what. And in a way, I kind of feel like that's his sign that he's there, and he's like comforting me, saying it's okay, because if I just sit there and talk to him, sometimes, you know, I will get upset, I will cry. But it's been 2 years in November, and I can't comprehend how or why, like how it's been 2 years, but it gets a little bit easier every day. You don't kind of learn how to cope with it, you just kind of learn to live with it.
And no matter what, every day something reminds me of him. There will be a song on the radio or an ad on TV, or I'll just a memory will pop into my head, and just there's never a day where I don't think about him, and there never will be a day where I don't think about him. And especially with my little brother, you know, a lot of people don't remember when they're that young, and I want to make sure that my brother constantly remembers who his dad was and what kind of man he was and all that stuff. You know, a picture is all fine to see, but I've got videos of them together and stuff, and I think that's the kind of thing that he will treasure when he's older. But I know this was kind of a hard video to watch. It's been a hard video to film, but I just kind of wanted to talk about Dad, especially coming up. It's being Father's Day in about a month, and that's just a very, very hard day. Anniversaries such as Father's Day, birthdays, and stuff like that, it's kind of horrible. So I may have inserted some pictures of me and my dad, or if I haven't, I'll insert some now, just so you can kind of see, you might be interested. Yeah. I don't know, it might be something that you're interested in seeing. I don't know. But if you've gotten all the way to the end of this video, I don't know how long it is. I can't see the camera recording, like the screen. Thank you for watching. Please be respectful and kind in the comments, and I'll see you all next week for hopefully a more cheerful and non-emotional video. Bye.